Hi, I'm Barry McDonough, Director of BMD Publishing, and I'm sitting here today with Louis Crowe, who is founder and inventor of Bionic Gym. Louis, thanks for doing the interview with us today.
Pleasure to be here with you, Barry.
So, Bionic Gym is the most successful crowdfunded project in Ireland, which is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is Bionic Gym?
Well, first of all, congratulations, because we've got a whole host of backers that have supported us and got us this far. So we are extremely grateful to them, because without them, Bionic Gym would not exist. Bionic Gym itself, it's an exercise device, and it's an electrical stimulation device. You have a couple of wraps, goes around your thighs, you control it with a smartphone, and it exercises you. So you can watch TV, or you can be at low levels, you can use it working, and it exercises you. But properly, like you're sweating, your heart is racing. I've trained for a marathon without any actual running, just with Bionic Gym. So the technology works.
So Bionic Gym, the slogan is that you can run a marathon from the sofa.
Yes, essentially, and in calorie terms, or heart rate terms, or lactate terms, or CO2 production, I've done that. So obviously you need to train up with it first, because in order to have the facility for your muscles to do this amount of work, you need to train, but Bionic Gym will do that too for you.
So you're a medical doctor, and I actually first met you through the eCommerce Association meetups that we used to have a couple of years ago, and you were coming from the outside of anything to do with crowdfunding or technology. What was that journey like?
Yeah, and I'm an interloper, so I went along to the eCommerce Association of Ireland, their meetups, because they were great. It gave me a feel for kind of some of the marketing issues, and particularly the e-commerce. It's all about kind of converting eyeballs into support, and the techniques and the thinking are quite similar.
So you raised over $3 million, is that right, to date?
Yeah.
Through Indiegogo. Why did you choose crowdfunding, and then why did you choose a platform like Indiegogo and not Kickstarter or any of the others?
I didn't choose crowdfunding. Every other avenue stopped. I had technology which I'd been developing for essentially 20 years, done a huge amount of research, and it was just sitting there. I tried to get it out through companies, I tried to get it out via venture capital, investors, I even went for private equity at one stage, and it just wasn't happening. And each time you go to an investment group, it takes 6 months. No more options, I went to crowdfunding. So I chose kind of Indiegogo, because in this space for technology, there's really just two of them. There's Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Indiegogo allows medical devices, and we're on the cusp between being a consumer device, but it's on the body, and we're delivering electrical stimulation to the body. So we said it'd be better to go with Indiegogo for us.
It's interesting though, so crowdfunding wasn't the first place that you thought of going to. You were looking at VCs and different spaces. So, if you were to give yourself advice back then, would you still have taken the same route? Do you still think crowdfunding was the right way eventually for you guys to go?
Crowdfunding has worked out incredibly well for us. So we're talking from a position of kind of strength, because we've connected with a lot of backers, and that's wonderful. But even starting out again, it's a long, hard route, and the actual number of successes, substantial successes, are very few and far between. It's an expensive thing to do a crowdfunding campaign. You really have to, you're promising a product, so you have to create this product. And if you say raise 100,000, but you spend 50,000 on the actual physical product, you spend kind of 20, 30,000 on advertising, you'd be much better off kind of not going crowdfunding at all. So unless you're going to hit a home run, don't bother.
I suppose what people don't see is the back end of what's happening. You've got to create the product. There's all of that expense as well. People just see the number raised, 3 million, and think that's profit. But of course, there's so much going on in the background in terms of costs.
Yeah, and it's really from this profit, essentially, that you have to pay for the engineers. What we're doing, it's a sophisticated product. We've had engineers, a team of them, essentially working for well over a year and a half now. We had originally budgeted for 2 engineers for 8 months, And it just snowballed, and certain things were beyond our control. So we're only kind of clambering into the black now. So it's I still may have to sell my house.
But you still must be incredibly happy, because I remember when we spoke before the crowdfunding, what were you hoping for? What were you hoping to hit?
Well, we had an expectation of around 400,000. I was saying I wouldn't go forward with crowdfunding. I'd essentially return all the money, and in the initial stages you can return money without any cost to you or the backers. And if I hadn't hit 300,000, probably would have decided to return the money. Because with that and selling house would be, I thought I'd be able to deliver the product. But you put it out there, put a lot of pressure on yourself, because you're committing to deliver something to hundreds and now for us thousands of people, and it's you don't have the resources to do that when you're making the commitment. And even if you have the financial resources, you don't have the logistics, you don't have the personnel resources, and it just happens, as I say.
Has it been a stressful experience?
Very.
Yes.
Very. This is up your area now. Barry has a wonderful stress app that's just come out.
Yeah. Tell us about that. I mean, how have you managed to deal with that? I mean, obviously, so it's all about the stress of production and all of that.
Well, I don't think I've dealt with it adequately well, to be honest. I think the most important thing is to feel grateful to your backers, because a lot of them, they put great pressure on you. And at this stage, we've got 6,000-7,000 backers, and they've they're very interested in your product, and some people are, surgery has been deferred on the basis of promises I've made, and so people have invested a lot emotionally in our product, and sometimes in myself as well, and this is a huge amount of pressure to take on when you don't have the individual ability to deliver on it. So I make a promise, but the promises have been is what has been promised to me. But I'm the public face of it, and it all comes back to me. And social media is a strange space. It works incredibly well, and we're incredibly fortunate to have kind of great supporters. But once you're reaching kind of hundreds of thousands of people, and millions in our case now, there'll always be a few wackos. So just this morning I've been called a fake twice, and there have been people who are saying kind of, I want to kill you, and you're kind of thinking, it's difficult.
Comes with the territory, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a huge success. You got mentioned on the Ellen DeGeneres show in the States. Obviously, the PR side of it worked really well. Can you talk us through it from start to beginning? How did you go about marketing this? How did you launch it? Just for somebody starting out, what would they do? How could they replicate the success?
I can deal with PR initially and then go back to the other things, because the PR, we tried press releases, we tried approaching journalists. And you think in Ireland it's a small place, journalists need to fill the papers, they'd only be too happy to. And we got a wonderful connection with the Sunday Business Post, and Ciara O'Brien of the Irish Times very kindly did a large article on us. But actually on that, there was a big picture of me, and I was sprawled on my couch, because I'm Marathon on your couch, showing my legs, and it was across the whole Irish Times page, and it was just such an embarrassment. But my auntie one day went up to her place, and she had it there over the fireplace. So not what I wanted, but anyway, they're very kind. But even in Ireland, a small little place where you think people want to help and support you, it's all about personal connections. And if you don't have that personal connection, in Ireland, they don't want to know you. It's very sad, but that's the reality of where we are. The Irish Independent won't cover you if you've been covered in the Irish Times. We have a global product.
Yeah. But did it matter really at the end of the day? Because Ireland really wasn't the main market. You were going for a US market. You need a few pointers of success and credibility. So we say things which a lot of people find incredible because others have claimed them in the past.
without, not in good faith, let's say, or they couldn't deliver on the claims which we can and do. So there's a lot of scepticism, and being able to point to the Irish Times and then later, Channel 4 programmes, Ellen DeGeneres, and these things as well. They don't directly lead to sales. So Ellen DeGeneres featured our video, and it was just amazing, and she made a joke about it, and it was just really good.
Did that result in any sales?
Very few, because it's TV. So that resulted in maybe 5,000 sales. But what it did do is it meant we could use Ellen's name and brand and say, we were covered on our show. And that has been gold. And the same with Channel 4 as well. We were on there a couple of times. And in terms of like Ellen DeGeneres, their production team, they came to me asking me, would I be interested? They wanted to fly me over, but then they wanted to do it on Friday, so they just went ahead and showed the videos. And the Channel 4, been 3 or 4 British TV companies have approached us and been on twice already, terrestrial TV. Hopefully another time will come up very soon. But they all approached us. It wasn't us reaching out.
Okay, and they've discovered you through the Indiegogo platform. Yeah. So the benefit comes from using the footage on the Indiegogo page in itself, rather than actually the exposure you get on TV.
Exactly. That's only secondary. And particularly in terms of advertising, it's crowdfunding is essentially a marketing endeavour. You're asking people to put their faith in you and your product. And of course, they need to see that your product is something worth having and worth bringing to the marketplace and worth bringing for society, essentially. There are a lot of the core Indiegogo backers. They understand the story and they actually want to bring technology forward, and they enjoy following the steps along the way as well. Of course, they just want success immediately, but they understand the pitfalls too. But it is a marketing endeavour. You are selling your dream.
Did you use an outside agency, or did you do all the marketing in-house?
All the initial stuff was in-house. So from even kind of like the video, if you kind of look at the initial videos, some of them are kind of quite blurry. This is because, not like the perfect quality I'm sure we have here, it's because I was doing the video. I set things up, then I'd run around to my couch. And I had a cheap video camera, and essentially after 20 minutes the processor or whatever would heat up slightly and become slightly blurred. But you have to go forward and back all the time. And so I was doing I learned how to do After Effects, and I couldn't afford a decent video production, and video is hugely important. And I could afford maybe 10,000, 15,000 for a video. But I looked at what people were producing for 10,000, 15,000, and it wasn't very good. So know a good friend who's good at it, a friend in the Innovation Academy in UCD. He also did video, and he helped. So all of a sudden, people have noticed that the quality improves. That's when he got involved.
And what was your starting out budget? So how much money did you have? And then once you launched, when did you know it was taking off? Like, when did you see, wow, this is really going to go somewhere?
So the important thing, there's no point in doing crowdfunding unless the crowdfunding platforms promote you. Otherwise, why would you do it? So the trick is to actually get them to promote you, and you need to work their algorithms, essentially. So they promote success, and success breeds success. You have to have things teed up for the first day. You have to be hitting your targets. So that's wonderful. We got an initial surge because I lined up all my friends. I'd created a little bit of a buzz. Although it's very hard to create a buzz about something which, people may... I found it hard to create a buzz. I'm not big into social media. I didn't have many Facebook friends or anything. I'm a Luddite in many regards. So I was coming from kind of -5 rather than even a level playing field. But I managed to get the initial surge. Indiegogo then came along, and they gave me a push. But a week or maybe 2 weeks into it, I remember I spent $200 on advertising. I spent I don't know, another $100 someplace, and I got in $250 back in an entire day. And in the initial crowdfunding phase, that's debt, because you fall out of their algorithms, they don't promote you, you're off the screen, and there's nothing you can do. And you try to do everything to you try to get comments lined up and put out an update, and I used to use Facebook Lives all the time, and they were great, but it's a lot of effort. You're climbing back onto the horse again, and then you manage to get into another email, and then you're off. And then it gets to the stage where I knew I'd be getting enough such that if I sold everything else, I'd perhaps be able to get product out. So that was wonderful. And then I could, And you were increasing your Facebook spend as you went? It was mainly Facebook? Yeah, I tried Google, but it was no joy. And they'll take your money off you very quickly. The Facebook spend started out kind of $200 per day and then went up. So, then at times you'd be spending $1,000 a day, whatever. So it's quite if you don't do it properly, you'll be broke for, within a week. So you're watching the numbers very closely as you're spending. And then at some point it just must have jumped when it got into, what do Indiegogo call it, their featured products or? Yeah, the great thing is when you're headlining an Indiegogo email that they send out to their community. They have a large community, many millions, and occasionally we've headlined it, and you can bring in kind of $50,000 in one day, so we've done that, and we hope to be able to do that again. We'd hope to maybe next time we might even reach 6 figures. But I mentioned most successful crowdfunding project in Ireland. Globally, how does it sit? We're about kind of I think number 30 or so in Indiegogo. Of all products? Yeah, there have been 800,000 or 900,000 Indiegogo projects launched. So in one sense, I'm saying it's been a difficult journey for us, and we're the exceptional success. So we wish everybody success, of course, but even those that it's worked out for, it's quite unusual. And it's still not even a home run, And I think it's interesting, you don't recommend it to everyone. No. And even if you look at those that are successful, a lot of them go with, they have a low bill of materials, and they go with kind of social media advertising companies that specialize in this. And they have a huge advantage over you. So they come with a huge email database and with all the knowledge and experience on how to get people interested in crowdfunding, or your product in particular. And so you're not really, you're playing an amateur against professionals. So it's difficult, and inevitably 99% of projects won't work out well. So, as I say, it has been a massive success. Congratulations. I know you're kind of at that final phase now where you're just getting the product out. But I'm sure after that, what's going to happen after that? Well, I'll have a sleep. Take a holiday. Yeah. So we're getting FDA approval in the US as well. So we'll have seeded the market. We will continue to do some elements of crowdfunding or pre-ordering, because essentially it takes 3 months for a product from ordering the components to delivering it. And for our cash flow, we will continue to do a little bit of pre-ordering. So we'll do that on our own website then, but we'll have seeded the market, and there will be no longer the question of, does it work? It will be kind of, hopefully, wow, I want one of these. Thank you very much, Louis, on behalf of eCommerce Association, for being here and doing the interview. It's great. And thank you viewers.